Yo, yo, what it do? Welcome to another one for Al Cuerpo Boxing, to the body. So let's get with it. Let's talk some boxing. Damn, it's hot as hell in this room, but I'm used to that. Just came back from Florida. Shout out to Tampa Bay. Uh, really, really hot ass state, man. The Florida's hot, especially these times, right? Hurricane season. I mean, Florida in the summer times is hot as hell in general. So can't complain right now, to be honest, man. It's unbearable out there trying to do some live video feeds, and if you don't got an AC, man, good luck. But anyways, let's talk some boxing, right? I came across two videos, man. One is a channel called YSM Sports Media. Go ahead and check out that channel. It's a pretty good channel. Covers boxing, has a lot of good interviews. Go ahead and check out that channel. Subscribe and support that channel, right? I was gonna say content creator, but I think he's more of a journalist, right? Anyhow, and then the other channel, Fight Hype. Sorry, Fight Hype on YouTube. Go ahead and check out that channel. It did also a recent video with Sean Porter. The other one, by the way, the YSM Sports Media, was with Coach Anthony, Boricua from Philly, if I'm not mistaken, or Baltimore. I don't recall which. I think it's from Philly, right? Um, but some very interesting takes, man, regarding Snack. And then the other one also, the one on Fight Hype, where Sean Porter was talking about Snack. And again, man, these are interesting and recurring themes, right, in the game. And I think it's funny, to be honest, man. It's like, if you guys know me, I always say don't bring up, doping in boxing, just because our sport, our cherished sport, isn't perfect. It's not regulated, and everybody's doing stuff, man. I don't specifically mean, or I'm not being literal with the athlete, but I'm talking about managers, promoters, the network's not really disclosing, these loopholes, because again, it's not regulated. But whatever, it's all good. So, anyways, the theme about what's going on right now with Snack, and shout out to Victor Conte. He's going right now through some tough times, dealing with some cancer issues, and I hope he pulls through. He will. He will. Um, but pray for him. Hope he does well these upcoming months, because anyway, Snack is an interesting outfit in the game, and they're masters at strength and conditioning and nutrition and performance gains, right? And so, anyways, let's dive into that, right? So let's first start with I guess let's start with Coach Anthony, right, which was on the YSM Sports Media, if I got that correctly. But he was talking about something that's been said. I've said it myself, to be honest, because I never really played so much in the idea that Canelo is that much bigger than Crawford. It's more so, and I've said it, and other fans have said it, industry have said it, that Canelo is more of like he's a small super middleweight, or you could say he's a normal sized middleweight or a big middleweight, right? One or the other, but let's say it's in between being a big middleweight and a small super middleweight. So he's in between there, right? It's probably why he did a couple fights at 164. He did one fight at 164 with that funny fight with Chavez Jr., right? But anyways, let me just say this too. It's not it's not Canelo's fault that Crawford just recently, now in his state in his career, is finally going northbound past 154, past 160, and doing a fight at 168. I think it's a bit exaggerated, because again, if we want to say that Canelo's a big middleweight or a small super middleweight, yet he went up to 175 twice, right? He beat a Kovalev, right? I mean, yeah, a washed Kovalev, but a Kovalev that still smashed Anthony Yard with a jab, right? Let's not forget about that. And then again, he fought Dimitri Bivol. And fans, they always like to spite on the idea that Dimitri Bivol was a cherry pick, or an easy fight. But let's not forget that Andre Ward, guys. Andre Ward literally presented Dimitri Bivol to the pro fight game, or to the commercial side of boxing, and that was on HBO, right? So if you guys remember, I always talk about this. There's a video. Um, I guess it's HBO Boxing if that channel's still around on YouTube, but you could find that video in which Andre Ward is talking with Bivol, right? And he's presenting him. He's like pretty much insinuating that this is the next guy at 175. Keep in mind, Bitter Beef was already there, guys. And again, Andre Ward didn't unify with Adonis Stevenson to do undisputed at 175. And again, that's debatable if fans really wanted that. If Andre Ward wanted that, maybe Andre Ward didn't want. He was evading that fight because Adonis Stevenson could crack, as Andre Ward would say. He would say guys like Edison Miranda could crack. Those were literally Andre Ward's words once upon a time. So just keep that in mind, right? So, anyways, sorry for going off. I don't know if I'm going off tangent. I'm actually on topic here. But Coach Anthony said that Canelo and Crawford aren't that much different, as far as the whole big size theme going around. And I agree 100%. Keep in mind, Coach Anthony, a solid trainer, American trainer. He considers himself Boricua, and I think he's half Dominican. So shout out to the Latino squad out there. Um, but I like it. I like it that he's being objective and neutral and transparent, if you will, because I've seen him train heavyweights and smaller weights. So he knows, man. He knows the game. And trust me, if a guy like that is saying it, and by the way, he's not the only guy that's saying it. There's other guys that have said it. I think even Chris Algieri has said it several times, saying that Canelo really isn't that big of a super middleweight. He said it himself. Um, so a lot of this stuff starts to balance out, or I guess maybe even out, right? But anyways, back to the whole snack thing, because Coach Anthony said it's so weird that he said this, but he was saying he brought up that about the size comparisons, right? And then he brings in, I hope there's no cheating in this fight. Now, why would he say that? I mean, why even instigate that in that little small bit that he's being interviewed? Think about that. Think about that, guys. It might be, you might theorize that maybe he has doubts. Maybe he knows some connects behind the scenes of what guys are doing. Um, and I think he even insinuated in that video. Go check out that video, man. Just type in Coach Anthony YSM Sports Media Canelo and Crawford. But it's it's cool that you see videos like this because it's rarely said, and we're about a month away from the fight. And again, you have to wonder, why is he saying that, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think he's done videos before where I think he's picked Crawford to win that fight. I'm not even joking. I think there's videos of him doing that. But then it's kind of like he's going against that that pick, right? If he brings up about the whole conspiracy of cheating and Snack and Conte, right? Just think about that for a second, guys. All right. So my thing is, in high level elite sports, any sport worldwide, especially the Olympics, guys. But when it's at the government level and governments are trying to protect the top athletes, right? Because everything's political, right? Geopolitical. It kind of it's a status quo, if you will. The Olympics are like a status quo of who are the top countries, the top dogs, the top athletes in the world, and more than sure, the governments know and they stay quiet. But everybody's on some special gear, man. That's just a fact, guys. It's a fact. Be it you want to call them supplements or whatever, everybody's on some special stuff. Okay? So keep in mind that Coach Anthony says that. All right? Now let's go to Sean Porter. Sean Porter, in this recent interview, on the Fight Hype interview, he's talked about Canelo and Crawford, and he brings up the size difference, right? And then I guess the interviewer, I don't even know who it was. Yeah, I guess the interviewer. I don't know if he brought it up or the interviewer asked, but he brought up Snack. And Sean Porter has said that once upon a time he was doing Snack. All right? And he said this, and I've said this many times about the concept of a scapegoat, or like, who would you blame, right? Because he talked about like, well, we know what's at stake when we're entering Snack. Sean Porter literally said that, or he insinuated that when guys enter Snack, they know that their reputation's at risk. But then that's a paradox, right? Because you're using the circumstances that supposedly Conte is a clean slate, right? He already did his thing. But you know Conte's background. You know the verbiage, the verbatim that Conte has said about anti-doping, or how to mask and cheat things. Like, we've heard these things from Conte, right? So Why would athletes, when they're entering snack, why would they forget about that? Just think about that for a second, right? And that's what Sean Porter is alluding to. He's saying that in that particular video that I'm talking about right now, I believe it dropped yesterday, by the way, too, so it's easy to find. Go check out Fight Hype. But he's saying that that like you wouldn't want to put yourself in a situation where you're gonna get caught. Or I guess he's trying to say in a very tough, hard fight, don't do stuff. I mean, why else would he say that detailed in that interview? If you don't want anybody to know anything, if you don't want anybody to instigate anything about snack or doping, don't even bring it up. As I always say, you guys know me. Don't bring up doping because our sport is not perfect, man. And there's a lot of loopholes, there's a lot of inconsistencies, there's a lot of contradictions. Don't bring it up. So you got to think about it for a second. You got Coach Anthony and Sean Porter who have picked Crawford, or they are picking, they're siding on Crawford to win. But in these recent videos, they disclose the theme of snack or the controversy behind snack. What you don't want to do is you don't want to remind fans on the rationale. I don't even know how to say how to state this, man, because again, like I always say, if you know me, I always say it's a paradox in the sport of boxing, right? So think about that. Again, why would I want to use snack? Let's say worst case scenario, if I have an adverse finding, who people are gonna blame? I can blame it on Conte, or I can blame it on the snack handlers, right? I could say, hey man, I enrolled in this program. The adverse findings because I'm a part of this, right? I had no idea. So a fighter could even spin it if he would have an adverse finding. So in other words, the whole point is you're in a safe position being in snack no matter what. You're in a win-win situation if you're in the snack program. And don't get me wrong, guys like I think it was like Willie Monroe Jr. and that guy Blue Chip Martin, who were caught or they had some adverse findings, and I think Victor Conte had said, but they weren't in competition or they weren't active at the time. But at the same time, they're representing snack. I find it a bit, I wouldn't say contradictory, but a bit suspicious, if you will. Okay. And I like it, man. I like in this game how you have to be careful with what you do, what you say. It's all part of the package, man. And again, this is not a knock on Victor Conte because I'm not saying like the Team Reynoso's world are pure or innocent, right? I'm not saying that at all. I mean, you can go any part of the world, go at any gym, name names, right? Gyms that have been suspicious, whatever, man. Be it a diuretic or an exogenous testosterone, man. Like I said, man, I love my sport, but just keep that in mind. What am I even getting that? Let me just say that I think maybe Coach Anthony is maybe saying that he's trying to like give a little special um, prediction in that I think he truly believes, and I myself, or I would say I know, I believe that I think Canelo's going to win this fight. I mean, I just seen looking at Terrence Crawford's toughest fights and looking at his physique, I don't think it's going to be a problem at all to Canelo. And I said this before. I'm on tape. I've said many times. I think Canelo can have a lazy performance in this fight against a guy like Terrence Crawford because he has tasted power from bigger guys, man. Guys that are like close to 200 pounds, planted and winging heavy shots, man. Which Crawford's physique isn't, right? I'm not saying Crawford is not strong. Don't get me wrong. Crawford is a very strong, all-American athlete, boxer. I like Terrence Crawford. He's special. Without a doubt, he's very special. That comes from him fighting since he was like 5 or 6 years old, right? So he has the ring IQ. He knows how to place his shots. He has really good combinations, really good instinctive offensive moves. I wouldn't say so much defensive at the highest level because I've seen him get clipped in exchanges, and that's the last thing you want to do when you're going against a guy like Canelo Alvarez, all right? And so it's just interesting, man, because I was recently watching the Sean Porter and Sean Porter versus Terrence Crawford, some stuff of Crawford versus Benavidez, right? Jose Benavidez, and why? Because I don't know. I think I was watching some cool video on Vice or something like that, like the Oh, you know, Vice always does like documentaries, badass behind the scenes stuff on like, the cartels and drugs and gangsters and all this stuff. And I'm thinking like, damn, you know, the whole Jalisco cartel, bro, where Canelo's from, that's a whole mafioso gangster part of the world, man. And I think, in my honest opinion, I think Canelo's also a gangster. Take that if however you want to interpret that, but I mean, gangster like, he's about that life, man. I think he's very cowboyish. He comes from a family of boxers, nitty gritty from the Mexican hood, right? Um, and he didn't come up in a perfect uprising, and he was in fights when he was young, bullied, and so that's how he learned how to fight guys that want to start fights. The same thing with Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford, we know much about Terrence Crawford. He's admitted himself that he comes more from a ghetto background, but that's the same thing as hood. Jalisco hood, all that stuff. So Canelo and Crawford are genuine, bona fide fighters, man. They're gangsters, if you will. And that's what makes this fight very special. And I think when it comes down to it, when I'm thinking like when I'm seeing Crawford doing ping pong with Shakur, I kind of fall back more to the commercial side of American athleticism. Meaning I'm like looking at Crawford and he's in the zone, but I just look at him like kind of like if a Michael Jordan were to fight a LeBron James. Literally, that's what I'm thinking when I'm like looking at that stuff. Maybe that's a good analogy. I don't know, but can't wait to September, man. We're about a month away from the fight. And oh yeah, shout out to Moses Altuma. Very nice, explosive southpaw heavyweight. Very young, very fresh, fast. I like that, man. We haven't had something like that in the heavyweight scene in a while. And to me, when I look at Moses Atalma, I think he's probably the next like Canelo heavyweight from the UK. I kid you not. Of course, he's a southpaw, but that explosiveness, I know when Canelo was young, very explosive too. Um, Different circumstances, right? Because Canelo had more fights. Moses he fought a kind of over the hill Dillian White, but still it was a very good fight. He's probably going to fight Hergovich next because we'll see what Turkey wants if he's really down to make the Usyk fight. I'm down for the Hergovich, Zile Zhang, maybe Bakoli. Man, some really good fights with this young buck Atuma. And excuse me, we know Turkey LSG can make it happen, man. So that's what I got on this one. So go ahead and check out that YSM Sports Media with Coach Anthony. Go and check out the stuff with Sean Porter on Fight Hype channel. And I kid you not, you're going to find these little details very interesting, man. So I'll catch you guys on the next one for Al Cuerpo Boxing to the Body. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.